Okay, so we were just talking about Earl Wiebe, a kid at the time when he killed his stepmother, burnt down their home, and then was found not criminally responsible after he turned himself in when he brought his sister in his truck. And so, not criminally responsible is kind of like pleading insanity. And so, he's been in, I guess, the mental hospital for criminals for quite some time and causing nothing but havoc. Uh, Last we heard, he's involved with some of the staff. They're finding him with a hunting knife, with empty bottles. So it's a sexual relationship with a female staff member. He possessed contraband, including a hunting knife, razor blades, and empty liquor bottles. He was placed in seclusion, where he started a fire with his clothes, setting off an alarm that unlocked all the doors in the secure forensic unit, releasing all the patients to much consternation. Again, he was charged criminally, jailed, returned a few months later, placed again in seclusion. The pattern repeated. Um, One time, he put the annotated criminal code document in a pillowcase and broke a sprinkler, setting off the fire alarm again. The staffer described a bias that has developed against him at Selkirk, and he has no real treatment plan, just a behavioral management plan. So he's basically a lost cause. Um, this is what his life's pretty much been. His entire life has pretty much been in this mental hospital. Um, in 2012, Wiebe psychiatrist at Selkirk wrote to Manitoba's Mental Health Review Board, Mr. Wiebe has deeply compromised any type of trusting positive therapeutic alliance he had with the treatment staff, and currently treatment staff are interacting with him with the presumption that he is capable of highly manipulative behavior. So, like he was fucking on one of them. So, that kind of, now the staff are kind of like leery of him. Like, it was just meds and lock him up, said the staffer. Given his extensive isolation and associated traumatic memories, the source claimed these latest periods of isolation provided no therapeutic value and had no justification under the hospital's policy, but were instead absolutely cruel. He served more than a life sentence because he doesn't have an illness that's treatable with medication like everything else, the source said. Now, I don't know if this is the staffer that he was fucking on or what. I don't know who the source is because they didn't want to be identified. But it seems pretty likely it's probably the staff he was fucking on. And I'm just going to go this far of a leap on this episode, which I don't normally do. I don't know if anybody even lost their job over that. So they might still be working there, presently, like, witnessing all of this. And, like, I don't know. It sounds like if it's not them, then there's somebody else there who seems to have a sympathetic ear for Earl Wiebe. And they're basically just saying that he's being cruelly treated and he served more than a life sentence. Now, here's the issue with that statement. Not to be a stickler, but he's not owed parole. Once you have a life tag, you have a life tag. Also, he keeps reoffending. So he wouldn't get parole. He wouldn't be eligible because he keeps committing crimes. And if he was out and free and he keeps committing crimes, he'd get that life tag slapped back on him. So I don't agree that he served more than a life sentence because there's not anything that is more than a life sentence. But he has maybe exceeded his time, typically where he would have been eligible for parole. But again, you're not guaranteed parole. The point being is he has a life tag. That doesn't go away. That you don't beat that. You don't that. Now, if he got like absolved or something, like I don't even know if we have that in Canada. Like I don't think you can really get like pardoned on a life tag. Like you hold the life tag, be realistic. You're spending your life in jail. These guys that celebrate, oh, I got a 10 years instead of 25 years. That doesn't mean anything. You still got to keep your nose clean behind the wall. to get that hearing. And there's no guarantee you're going to pass the board. You're not owed parole, nothing. Certainly not this guy, unfortunately. So, again, but whatever. They're saying, oh, he's manipulative, and now they're keeping him locked away, medicating them. Whoever it is saying he served more than a life sentence. It appears Manitoba's problem with Wiebe, for whom the failure of psychotic care becomes hopeless indefinite confinement. So in 2017, Wiebe's trial lawyer, the prominent criminal defender, Greg Brodsky, wrote in the Manitoba Law Journal that Wiebe seemed to have committed crimes in order to get out of solitary confinement in Selkirk and into prison, which he found more agreeable. So, respectfully, Schmeggery's on it. He's looking at this thing, eyeing it up, and he says, look, respectfully, I'm Greg Brodsky. I'm Greg goddamn Brodsky. Do you know how many fucking bodies I've defended in this town? You think there's a thing I haven't fucking seen? And he says to them basically, look, he's fucking around because he wants to go to the jail. I'm not saying put him in the jail because I'm a lawyer. I'm his defense lawyer, for fuck's sakes. But I'm just telling you what's going on. Don't waste my fucking time. I'm out here trying to save, I got real, you know how many probably bodies are on his desk at the time? And you're talking to me about Earl fucking Wiebe? I don't know what the fuck he's doing setting off the alarm. But, respectfully, he's writing in the Law Journal about it. And, so despite his best efforts, Earl Joel Wiebe's recurring challenge was that the conclusion of each criminal sentence, he was returned to a forensic hospital, he wrote. This is not what the average member of the public envisions when they think of a non-criminally responsible verdict. Brodsky's warning to criminal lawyers was that they should not be so quick to move to find their clients not criminally responsible. People do not get off when they are found not criminally responsible. Clients are remanded into custody, and their liberty can be affected far more effectually than by a prison sentence. So Greg's like, look, I'm the OG of this shit. So y'all gonna put some respect on my name. And what y'all don't understand is I did this and I done that. And so be careful. You were talking about mid-90s and shit. Yeah, it's be get him on non-criminally responsible. Now this shit is still on my desk. He's not getting out. Well, I didn't do him no favors with that. So when you see him waving off the non-criminally responsible, when this one or that one's entrails are missing and somebody's caught in a bathtub here or there or turning themselves in behind some corpse rotting off in the bathtub or whatever, don't ask why Greg didn't look for that. Because this is why. So he's writing about it. He's saying, oh, I know you was trying to talk shit when I didn't do the non-criminally responsibles and shit. This is why. So you got to understand what's really going on out here and the bodies that Greg's been dealing with and still deals with to this day. He's like, I'm dealing with this petty shit. I deal with bodies. I'm the body catcher in this town. Don't talk to me about somebody setting off. Did anybody get packed? Why are you talking to Greg? Like, don't call me with this shit. Well, he's your client because he did catch a body and he's behind that body. Well, let me educate y'all about this non-criminally responsible shit. He's saying, get it out of here because his life has been a tragedy, said the staffer. So a desire to see Rocky Mountains and take a break from boredom of his Manitoba Psychiatric Hospital triggered an escape of a mentally ill killer, police and his mother say. So Earl Wiebe, look, I'm going to throw more interjection in here. Just send him to a different mental hospital. Give him a change of scenery or something. They got lots of them. Put him to a higher security one or something. Out in Quebec or whatever. They got tons of these things. I don't know. They kind of dug their heels in. They said, look, you're dealing with them. So, he escaped. So, it's an interesting one because when Earl Joey Wiebe, who's 23, surrendered to police, it was ending a search that started on December 27th, 2006. So when Mr. Wiebe outran 2 nursing students while on a medical appointment at Winnipeg Health Sciences Center, this is a fast runner, we supposed he was able to make it that far, Winnipeg Police Sergeant Daryl Anning said. So he got all the way to Victoria. We know he had a wish to see the mountains. He saw them, police in Winnipeg and Victoria said. Mr. Wiebe told him he hitchhiked across Western Canada and had been in BC capital for more than a week, enjoying coastal sights. Wow. So, yeah, it's harmless picking up hitchhikers. Well, they could be deranged, escaped mental patient murderers. If you buy that story, I don't really know what happened there. But you gotta see that mountains. He hitchhiked his way out there, so-called. It's interesting. I'm not saying he didn't. Maybe truckers and shit, they got some under the seat either way to handle them, or they were planning on doing something like, oh, you caught a body too? Like, shit, never mind. Like, I don't know. He's on them roads, and he got out there. He saw the Rockies. I don't know where. I've been out west a fair bit. I don't know if I've seen the Rockies. Like, on a flight? So he saw them Rockies. How the fuck he seen those? You mean on the WestJet? Ain't no other way he fucking saw them. But nah, you see him off in the distance, I guess. He had the view. Was that the Rockies then? I guess. Like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest view guy. But he enjoyed the coastal sights. He spent a week out there. He told me he met a bunch of new people and just had been hanging out, having fun, bird watching. Well, some people think he should be having his freedom, so, I guess good for him. So his mother, I guess, was in touch with him. She spoke to her son by telephone for about 10 minutes after he was taken into custody. He told her that he never had any intention of staying away permanently. He just wanted to get away for a while. There's a tremendous relief he's okay. Yeah, so the Victoria Police Department said he wasn't living on the street, but was likely staying in a low-cost motel. Not sure where he got the cash. Police are investigating whether someone wired Mr. Wiebe money that allowed him to shelter and freed himself. Maybe his mom hit him off something. Whatever, man. I hope they didn't do nothing to mommy, if that. Like, I don't know. Inspector Sivlin said he turned himself in after calling his lawyer, Greg Brodsky, yesterday morning. Oh my God. And in turn, Mr. Brodsky contacted Winnipeg police, and they called Victoria police. And Mr. Wiebe was following news reports about his escape and was aware of pleas from his lawyer and his mother to turn himself in. He just decided it was time, Ms. Brown said. So he just called up Greg, man. If you know anything about bodies in this town, you just holler at Greg, I guess, and you say, Gregory! He's like, no. How'd you get a phone? He's like, Schmaggery! It's like, wait, what? I heard you got out, actually, matter of fact. I was just on the news behind that. Where are you? I'm in Vic, baby! Ha ha! Yo, why you calling me, though? Yeah, no. No, I ran out of bread, though. Tell him to come get me. I'm in Vic. You in the island? Hey. Call me Gilligan! I don't know how it went. That's how I envision it. So he just decided it was time. What the fuck? Earl. Out west? No. Police said Mr. Wiebe's run ended without incident. He was by himself when apprehended and appeared in good health. Inspector Sylvan said police believe Mr. Wiebe committed no crimes while in Victoria. We hope. The family of the woman he killed said they had been living in fear since his escape and expressed relief at his capture. Yeah, remember that family of the woman that he murdered? Maybe they're not fucking as thrilled about it. I don't think Greg was probably that thrilled about it either, because he's probably thinking to himself, fuck, I'm the one who told him to do this criminally responsible shit. Everybody's probably on pins and needles, but apparently it was all good. Don't worry, guys. I'm chill now. But the family was kind of like, oh, I'm glad they know where he's at. They declined further comment, but said they planned to speak to a lawyer about the fact Mr. Wiebe was able to flee so easily. Mr. Wiebe was a patient at Selkirk Mental Health Center when he escaped. He bolted from the psychiatric nurses going for a psychiatric assessment. He was not handcuffed or shackled at the time. So they're gonna start having to move with this guy like he's Hannibal Lecter, like in like the whole mask and like on a fucking two-wheeler, like, you know, little, like you're trying to move boxes and shit. Like, I don't know, at the warehouse, like it's no good. Um, he ran off, so they believe he faked his mental illness and should be in prison, as far as his treating psychologist is concerned. Mr. Wiebe has stated through his lawyer that he now wishes to be in prison, and he fears that he'll never be released from Selkirk. Not that he was guaranteed any release from prison either, I hate to continually point out. Now, Brodsky does know what he's talking about, so he's seen a fair few of them get paroled. Um, it's true. He would be out, let's be real, because the tag is what it is, and we're not trying to pay for that any longer than we kind of legally have to, regardless. So the family, I get like they're a little bit like, oh, I'm glad they got him, but it's like, you guys got your money's worth now, don't forget, because he's been caged up for a lot longer than they normally put people behind the wall, especially when they catch him at like 17, dear. He could have got it realistically. They tried him as an adult. When you get a life tag as a kid, you get up for parole pretty soon. Most cases. You don't serve like a regular adult sentence like that. In his case, I don't know how premeditated it was. It depends what they were going to tag him with, but it's irrelevant now. Um, I don't know, man. We're going deep on Earl Wiebe. Pause, but he wishes he was in jail, so that's kind of Earl's story. Hopefully he makes his way to prison someday, I guess, man. Fuck, he's seen the Rockies. Who knows what's next for Earl? But we can get, quickly into Ian Delroy Mackenzie, who robbed 13 businesses during a spree in 2001. So Mackenzie was dressed as a Navy SEAL during the holdups and believed he was fulfilling his patriotic duty. He also claimed to be hearing voices in his head and told doctors that a jail guard was directing them to commit a series of crimes. Mackenzie's mother told doctors her son had been struggling with mental illness for the prior 5 years, but would regularly stop taking antipsychotic medication. Ian Delroy Mackenzie spent several days on the lam before being apprehended by police on April 25th, 2006, after escaping from the Health Sciences Center in a similar fashion as Earl there. So, when we look at the totality of the non-criminally responsible defense, outcome like Vince Lee, where the individual is released apparently cured after a relatively brief period, are actually few and far between. What appears to be more challenging is how to manage the patients that may never be released. The patients can escape fairly easily. It's almost as though there are downsides to every approach. If they are released, the public is at risk. If they escape, the public is at risk. If they are kept for their entire lives, then the staff are at risk, and often the patients themselves are at risk as well. The not criminally responsible defense blueprint laid down by Vince Lee made it the defense du jour for clients that appeared to be blatantly guilty. The unintended consequences for many was a much longer and arguably crueler punishment than what their coinciding crimes typically deem suitable. A majority of those who commit heinous violent murders are clearly mentally ill, It's just unclear on where to draw the line on what deems someone truly not criminally responsible. Then once we make that decision, it is still very clear on what's best to do with these individuals. There are some minds which become irreparably damaged as a result of varying methods of child abuse and other environmental stressors. They will never function normally or properly. It's no secret that mentally ill parents tend to breed mentally ill children. It may be that by the time the mental illness has been caused, it's already too late. The measures need to be more preventative. Most mental illness goes untreated. If the symptoms are non-criminal in nature, then the reality is that the mentally ill individual would need to be willing to pursue treatment, which in most cases is not deemed necessary by the individual as their perspective is altered by the disease itself. Mental illness is like a parasite that attaches to the mind and convinces the afflicted they are perfectly fine, despite evidence to the contrary. We don't make parents get a license before creating and assuming responsibility for a human life in the same way we do for growing cannabis. Operating a business, operating a vehicle, occupying a building, repairing a building, or practicing any number of occupations. As such, unqualified individuals will continue to breed improperly cared for children who grow into adults, who will improperly care for their children, and ultimately, if the cycle isn't broken, inevitably a monster will come to be formed. Treating and preventing mental illness needs to start at home. Very extremely rarely is it that well-nurtured kids raised in stable environments free of mental, physical, sexual, or other abuses, it's just very rare for these individuals to turn out as mentally ill murderers. If we focus on being better parents, then we would yield better children. Unfortunately, most parents are focused on themselves, or pretty much anything else other than properly raising their children that they chose to have. There are some who can overcome mental illness or at least properly manage it. They are the minority. A majority of mentally ill people die that way. Mentally ill, continually making bizarre choices, yielding the same outcomes because at its core, like any parasite, the illness will always cover its tracks in the mind of the afflicted. They always will feel that they are cured or were never ill to begin with. Society also feels it difficult to deem people not criminally responsible when it seems we pick and choose what qualifies. Factitious disorder imposed or another, previously called Munchausen syndrome by proxy, so now they call that factitious disorder imposed on another, which was previously called Munchausen syndrome by proxy, is when someone falsely claims that another person is physical or has physical or psychological symptoms of illness, or they cause injury or disease in another person with the intention of deceiving others. It seems like a cut and dry, not criminally responsible defense for many forms of child abuse. However, it's not one that's been successfully used. Unlike PTSD, which has symptoms that in virtually every known case are of PTSD, the symptoms don't fit the criminally responsible defense. They are both extremely difficult to prove, as there generally needs to be concrete proof of factitious disorder imposed on another. And sympathetically, the afflicted will only ever admit to that which cannot be denied. They need to essentially be caught red-handed before abuse can be proven, or at minimum, in most cases, even acknowledged to begin with. We all too often look at the accused in a vacuum and ignore the factors which created them. It's easier to believe that locking people away in psychiatric facilities is a viable solution than it is to look back at generational traumas that are creating these damaged people. The first step is overcoming anything that is acknowledging that there is something to overcome. Self-improvement and good health is a lifelong process that requires continual efforts. If we can't start within ourselves, then we will never have hope to break these cycles. Winnipegology.